So again, coming up next, we got Dark Souls 3. COLTrane is going to be doing all bosses here. Nice little comfy, about 90-minute-ish run. Hour and 48 ETA. Look, you all, it's 8:15 on the West Coast. And let me tell you all, there are other time zones in the world. We are all not in the same time zone. But it's all good. So again, make sure you go to GDQ's website and check out those incentives. We do have some upcoming bid wars. Of course, we do have that. As I mentioned, we do have some things to unlock right here coming up in Punch Gale to Death. Here again, we're about 637 to 5K for that one. We've got the cow level, the secret cow level in Diablo 2, 394 out of 5K. And we also have a Save or Ditch the Deckard Cane, also part of the Diablo 2 run. So make sure you check out GDQ, check out the tracker for all the remaining incentives, Earthbound, name the player, all that good stuff. And of course, you can't have a GDQ without Save or Kill the Animals for the combo randomizer, all right? So, with that being said, coming up, we've got Dark Souls 3 with COLTrane45, all boss run. Let's get ready for that. You all ready for that run, you all? All right, y'all, over to COLTrane.
All right. Hey, everybody. I am COLTrane45.
Yes.
I am super stoked to be here. I'm going to let the couch introduce themselves while I create. I'm pretty sure we are going to make Princess Fiona for the bid war. So we're going to get going with that. I have memorized. This is actually the part I'm most nervous for, just so you know. I've memorized all of the stats for this character. And it's going to take me a minute. I can barely even talk and do this at the same time. So, Couch, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
My name is Joe. Joe DD. I do Dark Souls challenge runs and speed runs. You know, fun stuff.
I am KWitty23, a partner streamer on Twitch. I do challenge runs, speed runs, and no-hit runs of the Souls games, respectively, particularly Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. So it's an honor to be here, and I'm really excited for Colt to do this run. He'll do a great job. So let's get it on.
My name's Jesse, and I'm just here.
Yeah, guys, Jesse's a really good friend of mine. I probably would not be here without him getting me to actually submit a run, so I'm really glad to have him here. He does sound tech and IT. He does a lot of live sound gigs, but I think he fought Gunder once in this game, pretty sure. I think he fought the first boss once, so he's got a bit of Souls experience under his belt, you know?
He did real well, though.
If you count losing as really well, then yeah.
Yeah.
No, it took me like 10 minutes to get the controls down. Like, I'm still used to like Tetris on the Game Boy, so.
Dude, it's unforgiving in the beginning. Like, they don't hold your hand at all.
Yeah.
Nope, they kind of just like push you off.
So yeah, this game is it takes a lot of skill to be able to play it casually. So you guys will see COLTrane. He's one of the best to do it. So he's gonna be playing at a high level and doing it super fast. So it's gonna be really interesting to see him do his thing.
Oh, yeah. This guy used to have the world record for the Soul Level 1 all-boss speedrun. So what you're going to be seeing here today, but without ever leveling up your character. So, like, man knows what he's doing.
Unless it's character creation. I'm sure you guys like the sound of clicking, though. That's why we're all here, really.
We're just here for that beautiful face reveal.
Princess Fiona.
Pick number 3.
I don't know if you noticed the skin color. We're going the true look for Princess Fiona. Let's see.
That olive green.
Oh, we can't do the reveal yet, though. We're almost there. Almost there. All right, let's see. Got the chin. That's it.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite boss in this game, K-Witty?
My favorite boss would have to be Pontiff Sullivan. He's a mid-game boss. You guys will see him. He actually killed me probably about 300 times, not exaggerating. So He's really cool, but in the speed run he goes down pretty quickly. But I would say because of the challenge and that, it made him a quick favorite. You know, once I learned how to fight him. So.
Oh yeah, once you learn that like you can actually parry bosses, I think he's like one of the first real bosses you get that experience with too.
Yeah, he was one of those gatekeeper bosses where I was kind of breezing through the game. Like I thought it was supposed to be pretty difficult, but then I met him and it was like, okay, it got real. So.
Oh yeah. He's got those 7 swing combos. You're like, all right.
Yeah, man. So.
All right, almost there, almost there.
I like the hair; it's looking good.
Right?
Can we make that neck a little thicker? Oh,
There she is. Fiona is about to awaken out of the ash and find herself in a very strange situation. So, as soon as we're ready with the timer, we are going to get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
let's go.
All right, a couple things. Dark Souls 3, of course, it is a sequel to 2 other Dark Souls games. It has some very amazing, deep lore. I think that's going to be the main thing I focus on tonight, is just how crazy the storyline is to this game. So we start out, and, well, there was a cutscene where a bell rings and you arise out of ash. According to FromSoft, bells are pretty cool, and so is ash. So that's about as deep as I know, really. I know nothing about the lore, guys. I've heard there are amazing stories with it, though. So we, I guess a couple things, just some housekeeping. I'll explain. First thing, I will be equipping and unequipping armor throughout the run. Your run speed doesn't change, but your roll lengths change. So we're going to get a little more distance out of each roll if we are under 30% equip load. By the way, I just pulled a sword out of this guy's chest. He should be thanking me, but instead he's getting up and attacking me.
He's pretty mad about it, actually.
Yeah.
So this is the very first boss of the game. He's more of a tutorial boss. His name is Ludwig. He's not too difficult. He can be kind of reset heavy if you have a good time based off some of the RNG that he does give you, but Colt's doing a really good job with this fight, and it's pretty much already over, so GG to that already. Let's go.
Once you get that first dagger in the second phase, the fight is basically done.
Yep, so that boss, it's kind of a set amount of hits. Like, once you pull the sword out, you want to get 13 R1s, or just your light attack, and then 4 two-handed R2s, so charged attacks. And that's what causes the stagger and allows him to die quicker in the second phase. So we're running into Firelink now. This is our central hub. And I'm going to be talking to the handmaiden. She makes some interesting noises. We're going to be hearing a lot of it from most of the characters in the game. So I just bought a Homeward Bone that allows you to teleport to the last bonfire you rested at, and then a dagger that I'll be using later, and a short sword that I infused with the. You know what? Let's leave that hood off. We need to see her pretty face. So
That's true beauty right there.
yeah. Anyway, I infused that short sword with fire, and I'm going to be doing a glitch with it coming up pretty soon on the second boss.
Because you can't buff a weapon if it's got a fire infusion, right?
No.
All right, so we're at High Wall of Lothric now, and Colt's just going to pretty much run through this area. He's going to pick up a few items along the way, but it's pretty simple here. There are a lot of enemies that can hit you quite a bit, but it's pretty safe, and he's going to go up here and pick up the gold pine resin, which will be used for the first boss that we're going to fight here pretty soon.
Yeah, the early game can be kind of reset heavy. A little bit just because of the RNG that some of the smaller basic enemies can give you, especially in this section you're going to see up here.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, when I grabbed that item, I jumped off the ledge at the same time. There's actually a window of a few frames to pick up the item right as you're running off of the ledge. If you miss it, you have to run back around and lose 15 seconds, but it saves like a second, kind of a swag strat, really. This part just scares me. So if we can get through this, we'll be good. This hollow with the halberd and the hollows coming down the ladder can really mess you up. It looks like nobody's even coming down the ladder, though.
Oh,
Just
no.
kidding. All right, we dude.
Oh.
That's what makes the early part of this game really difficult. Because if you try and go up that ladder without doing a quit out or something like that, they can just slap your booty around.
Yep.
It's all right, though. He puts us right back to the beginning. Not much of a time loss. He can just go right back and get what he needs to get and just keep moving on. So.
Well, luckily now he doesn't have to pick up the throwing knife, so he doesn't have to go that route anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even really need the souls that I just lost because it was pretty much nothing. So we're just going to move straight on. So one of the things I wanted to mention with Dark Souls 3, like the object of the game, it's pretty much a boss rush. Like you are just running between area and area. Everything wants to kill you. For those that have played it or are familiar with the game, it's pretty brutal at times.
Now what you're going to see Colt do up here is cast a spell called Spook. That's going to stop him from taking any fall damage. Very useful in this run. You're going to see him do it, use the spell to perform a various amount of glitches in the game.
Spook is a pretty nice spell. Like as Joe just said, it prevents fall damage, but it also makes your footsteps quiet, so you can also sneak behind enemies. And as he just mentioned, it's going to be used for a lot of glitches and things that Cole will be using here actually very soon.
All right, so we're coming up on a lady named Emma. This room, if you see a big room in a Dark Souls game, you know that a fight's coming. Luckily, this fight comes later. We will be back here. But I do need to talk to her right now to get a small banner, which allows me to move on. Oh, my word.
That's a scary door.
That's
Sometimes you
well,
just don't
No,
wanna
did
go
you
through
see?
it.
I just got stuck in that door.
Oh, yeah.
That is a very rare bug.
I just think Fiona's
Every now and then, it'll just lock your character in
Just
there
too
while you're
thick.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fiona's a little too thick. That's all.
True beauty.
All right, so you saw that how Fiona kind of put her hand behind her back, almost looked like she was scratching somewhere. You'll be seeing that more. That was trying to use an item to put lightning damage on my sword. Didn't work, but then I just cast Spook and threw a throwing knife, and now I have multiple elemental damage on this sword, which allows me to tear through this boss a little faster.
Yes, as we mentioned earlier, he put a fire gem on his sword, and usually when you do that in these games, you're not allowed to use be able to allow to buff your weapon. So the fact that he used that glitch now, he has a fire short sword buffed with a gold pine resin, so the damage is insane. And as you can see, Vort is already defeated with the +0 weapon.
That was the fastest version of the Vort fight we could have seen, too.
Very good.
Pretty much was a Vort fart, right?
It basically was. But he has a second phase where he does 3 large charge attacks, and I think it adds about 12 seconds. But he's staggered.
Maybe not that long, but yeah. If you do the 15th hit right as he's about to start his dashes for phase 2, you will stagger him out of it. And then you just want to make sure you have a full stamina bar so you can finish him off right there. So I just spooked down and grabbed some alluring skulls right next to those dogs. They attract enemies away from you. So I have some key locations. I'll be throwing those during the course of the run. I'm going to light this bonfire. I'll be back here in a little bit. Bonfires are just, that's where you're going to respawn once you've died. Probably inevitably. I mean, I'm really surprised I already died so far in this run.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, bonfires, like you just said, when you die, you respawn there. You light them, and they're like basically a save point, and you have items called Estus Flasks, which replenish your health. So if you use those and you sit at a bonfire, it'll replenish those back to the full amount, So it's just pretty much a safe haven that you can go to.
Yeah, so I'm just picking up a few more items. I got some charcoal pine bundles, which is for fire, an Estus shard, which will let me have 5 Estus rather than 4. Drink for health recovery, and then some charcoal pine resin so that I can put fire on the sword. One of the interesting things So the glitch where you get elemental damage on your sword when it's already infused, like this is already infused with the fire gem, it will do more damage if it's not split between different types. So if it's fire on fire, that's going to be the best. And we'll be doing that for the next 3 bosses before we move on to the main weapon for the game. This area, there's a giant. You can't really see him, but he's going to throw some arrows down at these hollows.
He's trying to hit you too. You're just a little too fast.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm going to throw my first alluring skull here. It's going to pull this dude with the hammer out of the door. He blocks the doorway a lot.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty reset-heavy point in the game because depending on where the guys go, they can block your entrance in the doorway. You can get destroyed by him or hit by one of the arrows by the giant. So the alluring skull there really help with that, and you can move on to the boss fight.
You can also try and bait one of them out from the door by chugging your Estus, but it's a little riskier.
All right, so you guys seen the butt scratch. He's getting ready to do the glitch again.
Now you notice he's dropping the charcoal pine bundles on the ground. That's because he wants to use them later, effectively duplicating them.
So now he has a fire-infused short sword with the fire resin. So it's going to do massive damage to this tree, which is actually weak to fire. So it's going to melt really quickly.
This is a pretty tough boss too if you come to it early. It's not a joke. Colt makes it look like a joke, but this guy hurts.
It's probably the best designed boss. Just a giant tree with these strange pus sacks all over him. And he's just got guys that hang out and like, are they kneeling or praying in the room when you come in? I don't even know what they're doing.
They're having a good time.
Weird boss.
Anyway, yeah, you just kind of destroy the pus sacks, and then I'm heading back to the last bonfire I rested at. Otherwise, I would be stuck in that room, have to light the bonfire, and then go back. So this is just a little quicker to use a homeward bone right there. Anyway, this next section, we're going to be running a different route. Oh, one of the things I wanted to talk about, actually, normally when we run this game, we base it off of in-game time, right? So I'll pull up the menu. You can see we're at 10 minutes and 17 seconds with in-game time. That's not what the timer says, though. So with a marathon or like a race setting, we're doing real time, and it actually changes the way we do the route. You'll see when I open a lot of doors, like I'll just sit there and open them, but if you quit out at a door, it actually stops the in-game timer. And in the normal speedrun, like we're quitting out a lot more. But in a setting like this, I want to make sure that I'm skipping every load screen possible and just spending as much time booking it through the game. We're coming up on the first big skip of the game. It's called Fair and Keep skip, and this is one of the biggest ones. I'm not sure who discovered it's a death cam based skip. I don't know who discovered like actually how to trigger a death cam, but with the location and doing the skip was Distortion 2. Definitely want to mention him. He's one of the bigger Dark Souls runners out there, or just speedrunners in general. That guy picks up a game and tears it apart within weeks. Anyway, yeah.
This is probably about the second hardest skip in the game. The only other one being above that would be Wilhelm skip, which you're going to be seeing a little bit later. This skip requires Colt to stand in a very particular spot and then run off a cliff and then jump to the left. At the exact moment the game thinks he's going to die, once the game realizes that, oh no, Colt is dead, everything is fine, it's going to invert the camera over him. Colt is then going to run out of bounds and all the way past all the enemies that you need to fight, and he's going to unlock a massive area of the game.
And those dogs seem to think that was a good idea.
Skulls for doggos. And that is it!
try.
Let's go!
It's not it.
Oh.
False start, Joe. False start. All right, so I need to turn left and jump out simultaneously without dying. Oh, I've got my mouse dragging.
Okay.
Wow.
So he has to get a proper angle here because when he jumps, he has to be able to jump into the divot and out. And he wasn't able to do it there. This is a very hard skip, but
So this may take a bit too. I'll be honest, I am a little having a bit of issues with the keyboard, so it is kind of a hardware thing at the moment, but I have been able to pull it off a few times. I really want to showcase this for you guys, so we're going to try it a few more times.
The exact window to perform the jump is pretty small, probably about 4 frames, 4 to 5. And it needs to be done with the keyboard while clicking forward and left at the exact moment that you jump, or else you're going to get a different kind of jump that won't allow your character to go into the death cam. So what Colt did there is he quit out to reset the positioning of the dogs because he no longer had an alluring skull to send the dogs to jump over the edge. So now he's going to be all sneaky and the dogs won't see him. They can smell him, though.
And that's it.
That is it. That is fair and skip.
Nice job, man. And so now you can see the camera's all inverted, and your controls are actually inverted too. So he's practiced this so much, so he makes it look easy, but it's really...
The controls are ridiculously hard.
So.
It's tank controls, so I mean, I just control the character with the left joystick. You're basically holding forward the whole time. If you hold left, you'll just spin in circles to the left. Same with the right. If you hold back, you do this weird seizure dance. I don't know what to call it, but...
So as you can see, the game is pretty much deloaded at this point because he's presumed dead, right?
Yep,
so
the game has only loaded in things at the point of where we saw the death cam invert. And you can actually run a long way.
So he was able to skip a big area of the game called the Ferret Swamp, where you have to go through this thick swamp full of enemies. You have to light these 3 separate fires, which takes a lot of time. So this skip probably saves around, you would say, about 2 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, it's like 2.5 minutes. I don't know what it is with FromSoft and their swamps, but man, I am glad I don't have to go through it in this game. It's probably why Dark Souls 3 is my favorite in this series. Just for that reason alone.
Just fair and skip exists?
Can skip the swamp. Even though, I mean, Fiona may want to go see her hubby in the swamp, you know, now that we think about it.
And so he just picked up the Sellsword Twin Blades, and he also picked up the Farroncoal there. The Twin Blades are actually probably one of the, if not the strongest weapon in the game. So he'll be using that later, and he's going to just tear through bosses. So
we saw him pick up a Sharp Gem earlier, which is what he's going to infuse the Sellsword Twin Blades with. While this one is infused with fire, the Twin Blades are going to be infused with a Dexterity infusion, and he's going to be pumping all of his stats into Dexterity mostly to get most of the damage possible.
And that's why I picked up the coal as well. You can't infuse unless you pick up that coal. So now we're going to the next boss on the list, which are the Abyss Watchers, and
these guys can be pretty difficult.
Yeah, we're gonna have to give Colt maximum concentration here.
Well, at the moment, I just cast Spook. I'm going to try to keep this enemy on the left from following me to the door. If he does end up clear at the door, I will have to quit out and just lose a few seconds. Looks like he's chasing me all the way, so no worries there. I'm going to do a specific setup to get into this boss fight. Due to the difficulty of the fight, we're going to try to, I don't know, try to make it a little less tough.
I believe in you.
Okay.
Now, these guys jump around a lot. In the first phase, there's going to be about 3 of them. 2 of them are going to be fighting each other, and one of them, well, actually, all 3 of them fight each other. But with some tricky sword play.
Okay, there were a few, I guess, like dropped frames in game right there. It does make me a little nervous. I really hope this works. We're good.
All right.
Here we
All
go,
right.
yeah.
Now, as you
So
can
this
see,
is the Abyss Watcher.
now we were just kidding about the fight being hard. What he just did going through the door created a glitch where the Abyss Watcher will just stand there and take all of the hits.
I would still probably lose if I played this game with this boss.
Just stare at you till you get a headache and have to shut it off.
And that's phase 1. Phase 2 is coming right up. It's
This is hard.
the same thing. We just slap away.
He tries to be your friend. He's like, hey, man, I got fire on my weapon, too. Why you got to do this? Like, nah, sorry, you're in my way.
No, I think he's just spent a little too much time looking into the abyss. It's like,
And there's the Abyss Watchers.
all right. So after the fight, I just hit no on using their soul. Soul of the Blood of the Wolf, probably the coolest name for a soul in the game. And I dropped it, and then cast Spook through a throwing knife and got a free 20,000 souls out of it. It's going to help me level up a little more. The nice thing is with that soul dupe, I also cast Spook, so I'm able to just drop big distances, kind of 2 birds, 1 stone.
He kills that skeleton that's sitting right there in the corner, so this ball explodes. The Undead Bone Shard he just picked up makes his SS Flask more powerful. You only get 2 of them in the run, so they're very nice to get.
And we're in the catacombs of Karthus now. There are so many skeletons in
Catacombs can be pretty scary. These skeletons can deal a lot of damage, and they also have bleed-infused weapons. And if they proc bleed on you, then you take even more damage. So they're kind of derpy.
That guy just didn't even want to hang. He's like, I'm out of here.
They don't like the look of Fiona, I don't think. So.
The jump you just
mean,
saw him
dude.
do is pretty difficult as well.
All right, so there we get the Grave Warden Ashes. We'll use those later on. It helps us. We can buy upgrade material for our weapons. So he was able to escape all the skeletons, which is nice. So we can move on now to the next area of the game.
They're still after
Yeah,
me.
this guy wants you.
Yeah.
Want some princess?
Now we're coming up to High Lord Wolnir. Basically, the way this boss works is you break his bracelets, and the boss explodes.
He's got a lot of swag, though.
Oh, yeah.
We have to
yeah.
give him that. He just chills, I don't know where he chills.
Not going to wear his crown for the rest of the game?
You just kind of run up and touch the cup. The game's like, you should touch the cup. And you say, no, I don't want to touch the cup, Dark Souls. What are you telling me?
He's like, hey, man, did you touch my cup?
Wolnir is not particularly a difficult boss. He's a really cool looking boss, but he's pretty much a gimmick boss. You destroy the bracelets and the fight's essentially over just like that. So Colt shouldn't have much of an issue taking him out.
After he does every attack, Runham will basically know where he's going to put the bracelet next time. Like, notice, didn't even need to roll that attack, just R1's the second it comes down, the fight's basically over.
That's some cheap jewelry, bro.
There we go. Colt was able to get the quick kill there, too.
Very nice fight.
Yeah, if you break the 3rd bracelet before he moves it forward, it actually goes to the Air of Fire Destroyed sign a little faster, so it saves you a good, I think it's like 5 to 10 seconds, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has to do a whole animation where he like falls back into the abyss.
I also just duped that soul again, Soul of the Blood of the Wolf, so I got 60K out of it rather than just 20K.
It's good blood.
Have to run through his legs. It's required.
Now what you're seeing Colt do here is he's running down and he's grabbing a bonfire for a boss that we're going to see later while picking up upgrade materials for the Sellsword Twin Blades.
All right, so now we're going back to the Firelink Shrine for the first time in the game to upgrade our weapons and level up a bit.
Maybe we get to hear more kind words from the Shrine Maiden. Not many that time.
Buying some Homeward Bones, or Alluring Skulls as well. It's not normally part of the route, but definitely is for this one.
They're nice to have.
Oh yeah.
So he just upgraded his Sellsword Twin Blades that we picked up on the route to a +4 and then fuse it with the Sharp Gem. And he's going to level up now at the Firekeeper so that he can wield them, obviously. And we'll be using these weapons for the duration of the run.
And 39 dexterity is a lot to have this early in the game, especially with a sharpened fused twin blade. So you're about to see the bosses and everything he decides to hit melt.
So being able to dupe those souls they did earlier really helped him out here. So he's like pretty over leveled at this point as far as damage output wise.
So the next boss we're going to see is Crystal Sage. It's in a little bit, though, so if we want to read some donations, now would be a good time.
Cool deal. We got $25 from Ali893 that says, good luck, COLTrane. Shout out to Joe DD and Quitty on the couch and the friend, too. We got $100 from Seal.
Yeah.
Who says, COLTrane is all over this game. Oh, not now.
Nice.
And LMK and Sausage Bun with $50 that says, everybody wants to see the train, baby.
Hey, LMK. Hey, Sausage Bun.
Sausage.
So I just grabbed the Grass Crest shield. You'll see me swapping between shields depending on what I need to do. This shield gives me extra stamina recovery, so it allows me to spend more time running and attacking rather than just walking around.
Even when it's on his back, too, it doesn't need to be in his hand.
Yeah.
All right, so here we are now at the Crystal Sage. A very annoying boss, I would say.
But gives
is
him
the best
perfect
luck.
RNG.
It is the best RNG you can get. Usually this boss can end a lot of runs as well because you need him to do a particular move, which he just did immediately. He casted the Soul Mass and he cannot teleport if he does that.
Yep. So normally when he goes into his second phase, he creates clones of himself, teleports all around the arena, really just gives you a hard time. So the whole point is to make sure to avoid that, which he just gave me a freebie. It's really nice. Just picked up the armor I'm going to be using for the rest of the run, the Herald armor. It's on the path, it's convenient, it's not going to make me go over 70% equip load, which that's another thing. When I go under 30% equip load, I'm able to get longer rolls. But if I go over 70, you get what are called fat rolls, which actually I don't think I can even go over 70 right now, can I? Yeah, I
you can.
Here.
You really want to put that short sword
There you
on.
go.
Yeah.
That's a fat roll.
You
That's what they
don't
look
want
like.
fat rolls. You have less iframes and you just run slower as well.
So yeah, later in the run, I'm going to be switching around armor pieces just to make sure I'm right under 70% equip load.
There will be instances later in the run as well where Colt will be switching around armor sets for the different resistances that they provide.
Swap back to my staff. All right, so this is another nice long run. I'm just going to grab another Estus Shard right here. That'll allow me to have a 6th chug from my flask. Then I'm going to put on a dagger for a section coming up. The dagger has a really unique weapon art. We'll be explaining that in a bit.
For those of you that don't know, weapon art is basically the weapon's like special move. Every weapon has one. And the daggers is a short little dash, which is very useful for getting through like thick swamps and just, you know, you find yourself in the river of maple syrup or something like that, just grab a dagger and you'll be able to get out.
All right, he picked up an undead bone shard there. Once again, what they do is allow you to have more Estus per drink, so he can heal more, which is very nice because he only picks up a few, so the more he can have, the better.
Yeah, normally by the end of the run, you can have like 15 Estus and a +10 flask. In this, I think I'll end up with 7 and +3.
That's a scary
In the
jump.
normal run, oh yeah, kind of a precise jump.
This area can be pretty scary. It's just, as you can see, flooded with lots of enemies, and they're really powerful. So he's doing a pretty good job of maneuvering through everything.
It gets pretty difficult once you start to get hit in this area too, because especially this enemy you just saw run by, they chase you far and they attack really fast. They also build up bleed. So like once you start getting hit here, you may just have to be going back to the chapel.
I also enjoy these self-immolating enemies. It's probably for a good cause. Light themselves on fire to fight cancer or something, you know. Man, I love the architecture in this game. Can I just say that? There are some really breathtaking areas, just beautiful places.
Speaking of things you love, didn't you say this next boss is your favorite?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a party.
All right, so COLTrane is now picking up the Lloyd's Sword Ring. You have rings in this game, and they give you different things you can do. Like some will give you like more Estus. Some will give you you can get the Chloranthy ring, gives you more stamina. This ring in particular gives you a 10% damage boost to your attacks when you have full health. So rings are really helpful in Dark Souls. And
Down on the thrall real quick.
Oh! Man. Giant got me though.
that's what we call a poop scoop.
I don't know why these giants just hang out in this stuff.
And as you can see there, he was running through the swamp there, and he's using the weapon art of the dagger, which allowed him to slide through. If he didn't have that, he would be like basically fat rolling through it. So the dagger really helps to get through the swamp areas.
What we're about to see is the best house party in all of Dark Souls.
So these guys, they're called the Deacons of the Deep. They worship I think they worship a boss I'll be fighting later. This is their altar. And I don't know if you can figure out how I'm supposed to do this fight. You might take a guess. Has something to do with, you just have to play hot potato with these guys. Just wherever the red light goes, you just kill them.
Just track the orb.
Eventually, the Pope will arrive to talk to you, but
Oh. It's trolling me a bit.
Yeah. And at this point, this is phase 2 where the actual Deacon will come out. And it's just one now, the one right there. You take him out and the fight's over. GG.
So after that fight, I just got an item called the Small Doll that I will need in order to access the next area. So a lot of people, after they kill High Lord Wolner, will try to move on, and they'll end up at this bridge that I'm about to get to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, also we're coming up on one of my favorite places in the game.
I was going to say that as well. We're going to Ithero. It's beautiful. So
here's a real great spot. The thing is, this is where the real difficulty spike happens in DS3.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
right when you get over this bridge, I would say.
Actually, yeah. My first playthrough this was...
yeah.
Because you're just running along, and then you hear something behind you.
Oh my.
What is that? It's a cat.
It's one big cat.
And dead. He killed that beast there because it drops an item called a ring called Pontus Right Eye, and what that does is, as long as you have consecutive attacks, it increases your attack power. So we have the strongest weapon in the game at +4 with the Sharp Gem with 39 dex, Lloyd's Sword Ring, and that ring. So you can imagine the damage output. It's already going to be pretty insane.
So we're coming up on our next skip here. It's called Irithyll Skip. So even though it is a beautiful area, we're not going to be seeing most of it.
We're more interested in running down the basement as soon as possible.
Oh boy. Got to get this mouse to just play nice. Take it easy. All right.
First there we go.
Good. So it sends you out of bounds. I cast Spook right before I drop down just so I wouldn't take any fall damage. Conserve some Estus. It takes like 2 seconds for every time you have to heal up, so when you're really getting into a run, you actually, a lot of the time I'll be running around with almost no health just to try to save a few seconds here and there.
So with that skip, he pretty much skipped through the whole area of Ithero there, so saves quite a bit of time. He can just pretty much just run to the next boss now.
So yeah, go below 30% equip load to roll through all that water. Otherwise, shorter rolls, it takes too long. coming up on some of the, oh man.
This is a pretty tough section right up here. When
It's
it comes
just
to
dogs. I don't like dogs.
Not a fan
Anybody
of dogs.
that's played a Dark Souls game knows how dogs are. I think they're the worst boss, actually. I'm pretty sure.
They might be. Dogs can be pretty glitchy in this game. They can teleport on top of you if you don't have them on camera. And they can do an attack at the same time they do that. So if, let's say, 3 of them decide to do that at once, you can die pretty quick.
Yeah, lowering skulls are your best friend. As you can see, they attract enemies, and they really help against this area because the dogs here are pretty vicious. So,
If you didn't throw those skulls, they could be teleporting on top of them right now, even after you run for a couple seconds.
all right, so now we're getting to the boss that I died about 300 times to. So, Pontus Sullivan.
Think he's got it though?
Oh no. I mean, look at this guy. Doesn't he look cool?
That's a parry, by the way. There are a lot of enemy attacks that you can just deflect. Speaking of which, we're gonna back up and try again.
So he missed the parry there, but it's okay. You can try to bait out another one. And
Wow.
oh no. And that's what I'm talking about. He's really tough, but
That's all right. It's a real quick running section to get back.
As long as we can get through the dogs, right?
You still got 2 skulls? You got 2 skulls?
So I'm gonna use one of them on the way back. Anyway, yeah, parry timing. I'll be honest. I'm surprised that I missed that second one. I hit it just barely too late. But once you really get to know an enemy's moveset, like you can just parry and riposte, or you get bonus damage off of staggers too.
It's okay. You gotta think. You gotta make him think he's got a chance.
man, Fiona is so thick. Oh my god.
I'm just sitting here like admiring the sound of bare feet while you run through. I've never really noticed that, the difference.
I thought you were talking about how you never noticed how thick Fiona was.
So you can see the dogs there. He threw one skull, but it didn't affect the others because they weren't in range. But they're pretty vicious. But he seemed to. Oh, I spoke too soon. All right. So you can see how difficult dogs can be to maneuver through. But looks like he's gonna be fine.
Hopefully. I think he's still on me. I can hear him.
He's getting good RNG from the enemy that's in front of the boss gate, though. That enemy can run up to you and swipe you with the scythe very quickly.
All right, we're back at Pontiv.
There we go.
Nice job.
And that is basically the fight right there.
This is one of the few scripted fights in the game.
What he's doing now is going to phase 2. It's his transition where he gets up and summons a clone. But you can attack through it, you get damage, but Colt is going to take that damage because it's still faster, so he's dead now. GG.
There is some subtle manipulation that happens with the boss during that fight. If you notice, after the second parry, Colt turned around and started hitting him in the back so that Pontiff would slowly turn around and let him get off an extra 3 hits.
Plus, you want to get on that side of him so he'll backstep towards the exit door, so you don't have to run as far once he's dead. This is a section of a lot of running. There's going to be an area coming up that was in Dark Souls 1 as well with some arrows shooting at us, but this is probably... Oh, Jon Snow's doing a little dance over there. He scares me sometimes.
He can chase you pretty far.
He can. I'm about to pick up the Easterner's Ashes. It's going to let me get the next upgrade item, large Titanite shards.
But yeah, as Cole was saying, this is just an area we run through a lot. So if there are any donations, they could probably be read about now.
Yeah,
I'd say.
perfect time for it.
All right, and we got $15 from Frogman, who says, huge fan of GDQ and of Dark Souls. Pumped for this run. Best of luck. Donate, people. $15 from Zanjabil, says, GDQ, much games. So wow. We have $25 from Flabo. Says, hey, Colt, all the best on your run. Great to see you on the big screen. Money towards Punching Gale since there's no monobrow option for character creation. And $100 from Cheshire Cat,
All right.
who simply says, runner's choice.
Definitely Fiona.
All right, so now we're running into the next area in the game called Orlando. This was actually an area in Dark Souls 1. So if you guys have played this, you know, the Souls game, this was a kind of a fangirl moment. Well, at least for me, I was like, oh my god, you know. So we're coming back to Orlando, which we had in Dark Souls 1, but now it's going to be a different boss here per se. We fought the Deacons earlier, and Colt kind of talked about it that they were worshiping something. We'll get to see what they were worshiping here as the next boss that he's going to fight.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention, that tower that I just spun up to the top of, with the original coding on the executable application for this game, we used to crash all the time in speedruns, and it would often crash right when you got to the top of that tower. There's a community member, B3LYP, who made a fix so that we don't crash twice during the course of the speedrun. Just wanted to shout him out. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm so glad I don't have to restart my game twice every time I do a run. So thanks, man.
All right, so as you can see, Colt used a gold pine resin outside the fog wall here because this boss doesn't really give you much opportunity to do it while you're in the battle. He attacks immediately. You want to be close to him to force out the melee attacks that, as you can see here. And
Yeah, we got a solid opener on this.
pretty good RNG.
Aldrich has a lot of very, very powerful ranged attacks and tries to keep you at range during most of the fight, so you have to sprint over to her right as she pops out.
And if you're wondering what Aldrich is, I am too. It's just a giant black blob with a head on top of his body.
And now it's gone.
Got a 2-cycle.
Yeah, that was a
very
really good
fight.
Aldrich
Really
fight.
good fight.
Yeah, Aldrich somehow absorbed the body of Gwendolyn, who was the son of... Who's he the son of? Gwyn, right?
Yep.
From the first one. Gwendolyn was raised as a boy. No, raised as a girl, but he's a boy, right? Something. And then a blob devoured him. I kind of feel bad for him.
As nature does.
God-devouring blob, right? So I'm going to get some bonus vigor. I just upgraded my weapon to +6 from +4. And I'm going to burn a second... Oh, I'm not going to leave. It's silly. I'm going to burn a second undead bone shard here. And then head to the distant manor.
One interesting thing about this speedrun is you actually do have to have a certain amount of vigor to pull off some of the skips in the later game. Like one skip you're going to be seeing later, partake skip, cannot be done with less than 20 vigor efficiently.
Yeah, and there's another skip I'll be doing that we line up our stamina bar, so we try to stay at 29 stamina for the setup. I mean, we could find setups with other amounts of stamina, but that's the amount we end up with in the speedrun. So I'm going to make sure I have that much, even if I could afford more.
We are now going through the Ethereal Dungeon, which can be a very confusing place to be. A lot of the areas look the exact same. I got pretty lost here for a while. And these enemies right here, the jailers, If they shoot out their miss, they can actually drain your health. As you can see, his health is kind of going down a bit even now. So it's pretty scary. They can get your health pretty low and just one-shot you. So shouldn't be too much of an issue for Colt because he's just running through the game. So
Yeah, if you're within line of sight of those enemies while their lamp is shining, they will drain your maximum health all the way down to 0 if you let them, or 1.
Yeah, it'll stay at 1 HP. It won't actually kill you.
Here's an area you're going to see him skip a decent amount of the dungeon, though.
nice.
Just
So
like
that's
that.
like, yeah, that's the maximum distance you can fall. If it was, I swear, a centimeter further, you would die right there. So we make sure to have Spook active. It skips a giant, a sizable chunk of the dungeon, and we're moving on to the boss, who's Yorm the Giant. Kind of a memer, really.
Yeah, Yorm's a pretty interesting boss. I mean, you'll see why, and we'll explain as the fight goes on.
I believe he has the highest health pool out of all the bosses in the game, including the ones in the DLC.
No, we're just gonna rest up. So I'm casting Spook at the top of this ladder. That way I only have to do it once, and I'm gonna drop off halfway down, and then dodge a fireball coming towards me over here. Then I'm gonna jump and roll off here. This is also just about maximum distance you can fall without dying with Spook active. And if you don't do that right in time, like, you've got maybe a second of wiggle room, but
Oh yeah, you're gonna.
it's
get
only
hit by a
active for like
fireball.
15 seconds or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this boss has a huge health pool. Luckily, I don't know who decided this was a good idea, or if I think it was or not, but there's this item at the end of the hall called a Storm Ruler that I just picked up and equipped. And I'm going to be charging it up. This is the weapon art. So pay attention.
Does a good amount of damage.
Yeah, you throw some wind at his face.
Now what you're seeing Colt do right here is we're trying to get Yorm into an AI loop where he does one attack, this attack you're seeing right now, that double slam, over and over again. If you're directly in front of him, he can give you one of two attacks. That double overhead slam, which you can punish, or he can stamp the ground, which will knock Colt off position.
So yeah, this fight is definitely an RNG fight, and you want that attack more than you want the stomp, because the stomp it doesn't damage you, thankfully, but it does, as you can see, it can knock you back, and you can just lose time. So you want the slam attack, and Yorm's defeated.
There we go. That is it.
So if you remember that party we had with the deacons earlier, I just popped their soul after that fight. I've got a cutscene that I just, I mean, you can just press start to skip cutscenes, but we're getting teleported. We have now killed 3 Lords of Cinder. The game allows you to go to the final boss once you've killed 4 of them, but once you've killed 3, it teleports you back to Emma, who, it's okay. She was dying anyway.
Sorry, Emma.
We're just helping her along the way.
That was pretty brutal, man.
And this takes you straight to the very next boss, which is probably the most elegant boss in the whole game, Dance in the Brill Valley.
It's one of my favorites for sure. Strafe in the grab.
Another really tough boss for newer players of the game. She will give you different attacks based on your positioning around her, so Colt's positioning is very particular here.
He used the Karthus Rogue Resin, which inflicts bleed damage on Dancer. As you can see, he's just looping through her spin attack, which is pretty epic, and she's already dead.
Extremely good Dancer fight.
Yeah,
Man,
very
wow.
good. Nice fight, man.
That's
Yeah.
a scary thing. Like,
just
staying
love
under
that
her
fight.
during all those spins, like, that's an attack. That's
Yeah,
not safe.
You kind of rotate, and then it's a really specific timing to get those 3 hits while the dancer is spinning as well.
So as you can see, though, he's pretty much just running through these bosses' his health bar like they're normal enemies. That's just the power of the Sellsword Twin Blades. Like, they're only at a +6 right now, so they're going to get even stronger.
Oh, yeah. Once they get to about +10, The DLC bosses who have an incredible amount of health melt just as easily.
Coming up is one of, oh man. I can't stand this boss, guys.
This boss is probably the first real like heavy reset boss in the all boss speedrun. This guy Osiros is a very angry dragon. His phase 1 is pretty safe, but in phase 2, right after he performs any attack, he can charge forward and fly across the map and instantly hit you. It has no wind up, and it deals a ridiculous amount of damage. It'll, I would say, take Colt down to maybe about 10% health.
I mean, I've leveled extra vigor, so
True.
it should only take like half my health bar right now.
So yeah, it's a pretty scary fight because of the factor of the instant charge. You can't really tell when it's coming, and you'll see in phase 2, this guy, he just runs all over the map. So even if you can defeat him, you can lose a lot of time here just depending on what he decides to do.
He purrs good, though.
He also is holding a real or imaginary? Real or imaginary?
It is real.
An
according to the
invisible
lore.
stuffed
Yeah.
animal in his hands.
It's I'll let his dialogue play. We'll do that.
He's holding an invincible baby in his left hand, as you can see. Well, you can't see, but yeah. This is, I like this boss as far as the dialogue. It's really cool.
Dear
But-
little ocelot.
But the fight in general is,
That was a very, very well-timed stagger he got. Osiris was about to perform an attack that is very difficult to punish, but he was able to stagger him out of it completely.
and here comes the phase 2 transition where he goes pretty psycho here. And now he'll get on all fours, and this is when the fun begins.
Staggers are great right now.
Wow, this is a really good fight.
Until now. Oh, okay, we rolled it.
I might have cursed.
That was the insta charge.
And we actually got really good RNG here. He stayed in pretty much one spot the whole fight. That was a really good fight.
That was an
Yeah.
incredible Osiris fight.
I can't tell you how glad I am to have that out of the way.
Right?
He's pretty scary, so that was really good. Nice.
Call that a GDQ gold.
Oh, yeah.
So we need this item here. It's called the Path of the Dragon. We'll be using this item in order to get to another area in the game later on. So it's a necessity to have if you're going to do all the bosses.
So I just went through an invisible wall. I wonder how many players went through the game their first time without even discovering that this area
I would have never
exists.
found that, ever.
Yeah, like unless you have the messages that come through online, you're probably not going to find it.
Now, you may recognize this area from the beginning of the game, maybe. And along with the guy that we're about to see next, the fight's going to be a little different, though.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the nightmare mode of the beginning of the game. It's going to be Gunder again, but this time he's named Champion Gunder. So I think this is like the past, per se. So this is when he was kind of in his prime and not more of a tutorial boss.
This is basically extra thick Gundyr.
He ain't thicker than,
We're about to find out.
all right.
Luckily, you can parry him.
Nice. And here comes a phase 2 transition. He'll do a charge up attack, which can be parried. So as long as you get your parries down for this fight, it's pretty safe.
That roll that you saw him do that was going away during the transition was very well timed, too. During that, when he slams his foot down, he will stagger you. And that is Champion Gundyr.
Nice job, man.
Definitely a fun one.
Speaking of fun areas, Lothar Castle, right? This is a spot where it's pretty quick, but if you get tagged by an enemy, things can go wrong very fast. Another fun fact, these archers are the best archers out of any Soulsborne game because their arrows can go through walls.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
Ooh. All right, now here, normally you're not supposed to go here because these dragons block the path, but he's just going to iframe and take the damage, which is a lot faster than going around the long way.
Yeah, I just switched to the assassin armor. It has better fire resistance, so I just swapped my armor back and then getting my shield back on for stamina recovery.
That's a scary moment though, because if you don't iframe that perfectly, you will die.
I'm gonna try a fall damage cancel.
Nice.
We got it.
There we go. Wow.
Yeah, so if you jump and then roll off of a ledge, right? There are a lot of places you can do it in the run, but you do a second roll in midair. It kind of has to be at a specific time, and it will give you invincibility frames on the landing, so helps conserve Estus a little bit.
Next boss up is Dragon Slayer Armor. He was actually one of my favorite bosses as well. His design is pretty cool. He's actually just a chunk of armor. There's nobody inside, but he's a really, really strong boss because he has really high defense because of his shield, and he does a lot of damage. But he's pretty predictable with his attacks, and the Twin Blades pretty much run through him, so it shouldn't be much of an issue for Colt here.
Once the second phase begins, which we just saw 2 giant dragons, which are called Pilgrim Butterflies, which you see one flying up in the background now, they'll attempt to attack you, but Colt's going to finish the fight before they can even get one off.
And GG, man. Really nice fight. Like, these bosses are really difficult, but like the power of the Cellthor Twin Blades and just how much practice Colt has put in to know the positionings and things, he's just making it look very easy, which is it's really not.
That's one of the things. This is a very, I guess, reactionary. Making sure you know all of the movesets of the bosses and how to react to each situation. There are ways to sort of, depending on the boss, there are ways to manipulate the AI. Like the next boss has a very specific strategy that we'll be doing. It's the Twin Princes. This is the final Lord of Cinder. So after this, I will have effectively killed all 4 of them, and I could just continue on to complete the game and go to the end credits. But there's some other bosses we need to see.
The optionals. The archives, there's a lot of running in this area, but there are also a lot of enemies. It can be pretty scary, especially running up at this point. There's another Crystal Sage, as you can see the magic, and just a lot of spam going on here. So you have to be really careful and maneuver through here.
These guys that you see shooting magic at Colt also have an attack that throws wax on top of you, and if he gets hit with that, he will no longer be able to roll, which makes getting out of this place unscathed basically impossible.
I would say probably running through the archive. There's a lot of running, so maybe donations would be good for now.
We got something for the couch here. We got $50 from the Sound Defense that says, I will donate another $50 if each member of the couch performs their favorite Dark Souls gesture.
Yeah, man.
Can you be so grossly incandescent?
That's only one.
I've never played the game.
Well, I don't know. I'll do something.
I'll teach you. I'll teach you.
Do a
Okay,
death
this
move.
one's Legion etiquette. Take your hand, put it like on your chest, and then like you're holding a sword forward, like that. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You're an Abyss
etiquette.
Watcher now. How do you feel? You feel good?
Pretty
You
good,
feel like you
yeah.
can stand there and just get hit?
Yeah, let's do it.
I like the, well, what is it? Kind of like a come at me.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's probably my favorite. So I'm grabbing this elevator as a precaution. It goes down right by the bonfire that I lit before I entered the archives.
These staircases terrify me.
There are a lot of enemies here. As you can see, these guys, they're not too much of an issue, but these guys coming up, these knights, they hit hard. So he's gonna have to dodge through a couple of these guys to avoid, taking a lot of damage.
There is a chance they could buff their weapon though, which you just saw 2 of them do there. You don't have to worry about them if they do that, but.
So this is one of the few doors in the run that I will be quitting out at. Otherwise, I would have all 4 of the knights on me and possibly wrecking me the second the iframes end for the the door opening animation. So I'm going to quickly equip all of my stuff and run straight on into this fight.
The next boss are the Twin Princes. They are a pretty interesting boss. They usually go down pretty quickly, but they can also be pretty troublesome. They teleport a lot, and they do a lot of damage as well. But if you stay behind them, you can bait out a certain attack. It's like a whip around spin attack, and that you can punish without even dodging. As you can see, he just strafed around it.
Another thing you're seeing Colt do is trying to stay behind him, not only to bait out that one attack, but it stops Lorian from teleporting.
We just staggered him out of the teleport, too.
So we said Twin Princes, and that's only one, but here comes the second brother, which is on his back. And how Phase 2 works is you have to destroy the brother on the back. If you do not take out his health bar, the fight will go on. So even if you take out the brother in the front, if his health bar depletes, the one on the back will just heal him. So you want to continue to attack the back to take out the elder brother, which will make the fight a lot faster.
You almost feel bad for them because, I mean, the older brother, like, he loses mobility after killing the demon princes, who we'll see later. And then the younger one, I don't know what Lothric still is, do you?
I think he's just angry.
So he's trying to get up and heal, as you can see, but
he just has to be a backpack, right?
Great fight.
Nice fight, man.
Thanks. So again, I'm using a soul in the spare time that I have after the fight, and I'm duping it for an extra 20k.
So we're seeing Colt sit at a lot of souls, 391,000. Usually when you play this game, you get up to about 10, 30, 50k. And you're like, all right, I'm going to go level up. Colt doesn't need that. No.
All right, so the item that he picked up earlier on the way to Champion Gunner, the Path of the Dragon, he will now be using that here. It's used to get transported to another area of the game, which is the Archdragon Peak, and we'll have a few bosses to deal with there.
This is another part where it would probably be a good time to read donations.
Alrighty, we've got $5 on Grim174 that says, how much do I have to donate to sit on the couch? We've got $15 from Irissa Sarah, who says, look at Speed Souls doing cool things. Shout out to Joe, Quiddy, and Coltrane. Y'all are wonderful.
Shout out to Speed Souls, man.
$5 from You the Man that says, I love the Souls games. My friend Chris introduced me to them and made me get DS3, and now I've beaten all of them at least once. DS3 is my favorite, and now I'm thinking about speedrunning this game as well.
Do it up, man.
And of course, we can't have a GDQ without this $25 from Dex FM that says, first time donation, long time viewer. Great calls, keep it up.
Some quick notable things that happened during the donations is we saw Colt pick up the Xanthos ashes. So now once he gives those to the Shrine Maiden, he'll be able to buy unlimited lightning buffs for his weapon. As well as we used that gesture, the Path of the Dragon that we got from killing Osiros, to go to a hidden area of the game. This nice little dragon-y place.
Yeah, Archdragon Peak. This is an interesting boss design too. It's set up as a kind of a gauntlet. When you run in, you start hitting, well, it's the Ancient Wyvern. I'll let him introduce himself. But we've got to open the gate. Also, what the heck are these enemies?
I mean, like snake dudes.
Yeah, snake heads.
Arabian snake dudes.
So this is the Ancient Wyvern. Most people, I don't know if they'd run up, hit the foot, and be like, oh wow, I do no damage. You can actually run clear around this gauntlet and then end up on a ledge up that direction after getting through a bunch of enemies. And then you jump on his head and one-shot him.
So basically, yeah, as Colt says, this boss works is you're supposed to run around this huge area and jump on his head, but with this right here, you can jump on a ledge and jump over his head, which the game thinks that you did the giant jump and you can just one-shot him from right here. So
yeah, they made the hitbox on his head pretty large so that people wouldn't just fall to their deaths jumping off, and we're able to exploit it that way.
Another good thing about that setup right there for that place where you can do the quick kill is it gives you enough time to jump down and grab the Ring of Protection, which we saw Colt pick up that it just makes you a little tankier, raises your physical resistance, but it's very nice in the later areas.
So now we're going to the next boss, the final boss here in Arch Dragon Peak. He is called the Nameless King. He's regarded to as probably the hardest boss.
Not yet, though.
Oh, that's right. We'll come to him later.
I'm going to a bonfire that's close to the boss, though, and then I'm going to grab one of the last key items for the run, which is, I think is it Champion's Ashes? Something Ashes.
Dragon Chaser's Ashes?
Dragon Chaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's going to allow me to buy Titanite chunks. Oh, boy.
I thought you already killed this guy.
That's his brother.
Yeah, apparently.
Usually if you're doing like a casual playthrough of this game, you would find enough upgrade materials to be able to upgrade your weapon on your own without having to buy anything from the Shrine Maiden, but it's much faster in the speedrun to go pick up the ashes and then take all of the extra echoes or souls that you have.
Ooh, Bloodborne.
Hey man, it's a good game. But you take all the souls that you have, then you use those to buy all the upgrade materials very quickly.
Grabbing these ashes up here are actually very, very difficult. There's going to be a lot of enemies chasing Colt here. So he already has a homeward bone equipped because as soon as he grabs these ashes, he needs to bone out immediately to avoid getting killed or knocked off the edge here from these enemies.
There is a chance I'll get hit. And no,
Wow.
no one, nothing. Awesome.
Being real kind today.
Yeah. All right,
How many-
coming up on the final level up here. I'm going to place the lords, or the cinders of the Lord, it's their skulls, on these thrones. So that was Aldrich. Looks a little different now. And there is actually an animation cancel that I can do if I run off. Got it.
There we go, perfect.
So that skips a good 5 seconds. We got that one too.
2 out of 2.
Yeah, you have to just like spam A right when you're running off the ledge.
There are really 2 ways that animation cancel can go. The very fast way, which we saw Colt do, and then there's you can do half of the animation, and then you'll fall off after half of it.
All right, so he just leveled up to get 29 endurance there, which allows him to run longer and to get more attacks off per swing. And now he's buying the rest of the upgrade material that he needs to get a +10 for his weapon.
Now is where you're going to see that monstrous damage.
Yeah,
come out
we'll
of the
be
twin
getting
blades.
maximum damage here now.
We better test these out.
Oh, Colt,
Whoops.
sir.
Sorry. I would never do that, but it is required for the speed run. As soon as you've placed the ashes, the Firekeeper will stand there and you'll have to kneel at the fire and teleport to the Soul of Cinder, the final boss. But if you kill her, you can teleport elsewhere. So we're about to hop into the first DLC now. This
He made
is
all that up. He just wanted to kill her.
kind of heartless, huh? Yep. Bad. Yeah.
So as Colt was beginning to say before I cut him off, this is the first DLC. Here we're going to see bosses Sister Freed and Champion Gravetender. One of them is made a little better than the other, and is also where we're going to see the most difficult skip in the game, Wilhelm Skip. This Wilhelm Skip is done in the same way that Farron Skip is, but the difficulty is kind of switched around. In Farron Skip, the hardest part was getting into the death cam while doing the inputs perfectly so you don't fall off the side. And the running section in Farron Skip was really easy when you're looking overhead. Wilhelm Skip is completely different. It's easy to get into it, but the running section is very hard.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the dogs like to chase you through here, or the wolves. I'm going to be lighting this bonfire for a safety precaution. I could be back here in a minute. Hopefully not.
Do you know if these wolves do the teleporting thing the dogs do?
No,
They don't. They're just really fast, though.
Yeah, I'm just going
Damn,
to...
3 of them.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing I just lit the bonfire right next to me.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't got to worry about those dogs no more.
Those puppers.
That was actually a skip. It's called the dog skip.
So a little unfortunate event, but he lit the bonfire, so he's right back here. So really no harm caused there.
So I'm going to knock this bridge down. It actually makes a ladder on the other side. The other side of that is Untitled Chapter, which is where we want to end up. It's where Sister Frida resides. She's pretty cool.
So this is where Wilhelm Skip begins. Colt is going to be setting himself up into an area where he can use the Sellsword Twin Blades falling R1 attack to be able to put him into a death cam. You just saw him do something a little different there. He cast Spook and then he quit out the moment he died. He's now going to spawn back in where he died without dying. As long as you exit the game while the Scream audio cue is going off and you have Spook, you will be alive, just as we see right here.
So this is a skip that used to be in All Bosses DLC 1, and it was resurrected earlier this year by Distortion. We're now in a death cam, and
Welcome to the beginning of Wilhelm Skip.
yeah. I'm running over here to light a bonfire for coming back to fight the Champion's Grave Tender later on. I'm also resting. That's the fog. It's a little square. It's not actually the full screen effect, just in case you didn't know.
So for those of you that have played this DLC before, fun fact, you can go up these vines. I never thought you could, but not only can you go up them, you can go up them with your camera inverted with tank controls while people are shooting at you.
It's a really difficult skip. He's probably practiced this, I don't know how long and how much, but
Not enough.
Yeah, you can see like he has to be really precise with his turns and with the inverted camera, and
Especially
it's gonna be
when
really
the camera
wonky.
inverts again.
And look at this.
And now you have to have the placement of the vines memorized completely.
All this while enemies are shooting at you, they can knock you down quite easily. So he's doing a really good job here.
And
Oh,
that
man.
is it.
Nice job, man.
That is Wilhelm Skip first try, man.
Nice job, Colt.
Great work. So right now you see is
I'm speechless right now. This is great.
dude, great job.
Fiona's catching her breath. Okay, just give her a second.
We're not shimmying in place.
Too
We're
bad
actually going up the
camera's
ladder
not,
right now.
Too bad the camera isn't zoomed in. We are climbing a ladder, though. I am doing something.
Are you?
I think so.
Let me just sneak in here real quick
yeah.
with the Boxing Gale incident. We're at 41.94 with the 5K needed for that.
Ooh,
So
getting close.
close.
Get those donations in, man.
Oh, by the way, for you all, Sound Defense also put in another $60. Says, as promised, extra 50 plus an extra 10 for using the correct gesture. Well, what is it? And one more, because it's a pretty hefty one. Sam249, $1,000.
Wow.
Oh, awesome.
Wow.
And he says, let's go.
Are we not
So-
going fast enough?
I just entered Untitled Chapter. I opened another door in there as a safety precaution, and then I quit out in a very specific spot. Normally in here, there is a statue blocking the way to the boss room, and you have to go, it's like 2 full minutes to get around and then turn a lever, but instead we're just here. So that skip saves at least 2 minutes.
Now, this next boss we're going to see, this is Sister Fried. She is a 3-part boss. Personally, my favorite in the entire Dark Souls series.
Good soundtrack, too.
Fried has a lot of really interesting mechanics to her. Usually the way you're going to see this fight done is baiting out one attack, then while she's winding up the second one, Colt's going to go in and get as much damage in as she can, but she can disappear like this. If you notice, she dashed to the left. She stays invisible for a little bit, and then she charges up a one-shot attack.
I throw a throwing knife at the beginning of phase 2. That's why she jumped like straight over me. I want to separate these two. You can attack both of them in phase 2.
Yeah.
Father Arendelle takes more damage, and he's less difficult to deal with.
Yeah, in phase 2, this guy stuck in a chair for whatever reason, and he just wants to slide across the floor. They share health bars, so he takes more damage, as Colt said, and If you separate them, you can pretty much just tank his health bar down.
There we go, and
So
now
yeah,
we
that-
are in the final phase of Freed.
Just gonna top off. By the way, I'm making sure to stay at full health for most of these boss fights because of Lloyd's Sword Ring. It gives me bonus damage. It boosts attack while HP is full. So I'm getting 10% extra damage per hit with this thing. You can use some more gold pine resin for phase 3. And there's a specific movement that I'm doing while she does that opener. It's a pretty wild opener. You can get one hit and then a backstab. This is a combo we do. It's a charged R2 and then 2 more L1s.
Freed has a good amount of health too. Like just off that opener, she's sitting at 55% health.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna wait on this. I have a backstab opportunity right here and we can finish her off.
And that should do it for Sister Frida.
Yep, that's
So-
it. And now we're on our way to the second DLC. This one has a couple more bosses in it. It's got Demon Princes, Midir, everyone's favorite, Half-Light, Gale, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, DLC 2 is really, really boss heavy, and these bosses are really tanky, and they're pretty tough as well. They really kicked it up a notch for the second DLC in terms of difficulty.
It's some of my favorite bosses in the series, for sure.
It's such a well-designed area too. It's so beautiful.
Also, they introduced kind of a newer thing in DLC 2. You notice how I'm dropping without taking any damage. Well, it turns out, you may want to go try this, you may not, but if you jump from, I guess it doesn't matter how high, and land on like 2 inches of ash, you're going to be okay.
Not in real life, we just want to clear.
Oh, yeah. In-game, of course.
Now we're coming up on a very technical skip. It's very quick. It's called Angel Skip. The screaming that you're hearing over on the left, there is an enemy called an Angel shooting basically just laser beams at you.
Lasers.
They're painful lasers. They hit real hard, and what you're going to be seeing Colt do is attempt to skip one of those Angels completely and skip a good amount of the area, good amount of this area while he's doing it.
Yeah, this is 3 precise jumps, and it saves about 40 seconds. So here goes. Got it.
And that's first try.
That is it, Angel Skip.
Man.
That is really
These are-
hard.
Yeah, these are not easy skips, and Cole's he's nailing them. So, and just like that, we're at the next boss. So
that, I mean, there's a way to skip a good chunk of the area, but Angel Skip skips even more of it. Thank you. I'm pretty sure it's this hex that discovered that one. So thank you. If not, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken, but shout out to him.
all right, so now we're at the first boss of the DLC 2, which are the Demon Princes, and as you can see, there are 2 different ones. One, they usually interchange between the fight. One is a meleeer, and the other one shoots like toxic and poisons from around the room. But as you can see, they interchange. But he's going to kill him pretty quickly, so we won't see much of the interchanges.
This is a really cool boss fight in the fact that depending on which one you kill first, the second phase of the boss fight changes a good amount. And like the shape of the wings will change too. Something we haven't seen in a FromSoft game yet.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to see him switch over to the bleed resin, the Carthus Rouge, and he's going to start hitting the body of the boss before the health bar appears. While he's not doing damage to the boss, it is building up the bleed effect so we can get that large chunk of damage sooner in the fight.
And this is the actual Demon Prince, the phase 2 of the fight.
What we're seeing here, though, is a small little AI loop that you can put the Demon Prince in. If you stay by his rear, he doesn't do anything, and he'll just keep running around.
You put him in a mini spin cycle, and as you can see, almost 40% of the health is already gone.
So yeah, we want to stagger him before he does that. It's a meteor move, which we got it. So we skipped the worst move for phase 2 right here, and we're just gonna finish him off.
Man, he's demon friend.
So at this point, I'm grabbing another banner similar to the one Emma gave me earlier. There are these kind of gremlin winged creatures that carry you from place to place. I really wish we could watch some of the cutscenes, but unfortunately they go off of, well, I mean, in a normal run it goes off in-game timer. I guess that doesn't mean much here, but you can just imagine seeing a beautiful city open up before
That was a
you.
cool cutscene. We only
Yeah.
saw half a second of it, but I'm blown away. Now, this next area, if you've played the second DLC, you know what's about to happen. But usually what happens with newer players is they get to this bridge and they start looking off at all the beautiful scenery, and then, oh man, what is happening? Archers.
These archers will kill you in literally 2 seconds, like not exaggerating, if you take hits from the arrows.
Even if you're super tanky, yeah.
They really don't mess around. What we're about to see here is we're going to see COLTrane set up the first partake skip of the run. This is a really cool skip to watch. It's very technical. We're going to be taking an enemy in the game and using that enemy's special grab attack to put us out of bounds so we can do a spook quit out and skip a massive section.
So yeah, the reason I just did that quit out was to despawn an enemy that can potentially screw the skip up. And then when I spawn back in, this giant skeleton is going to give me a better move, so I won't just get loaded up with arrows, especially in the knee. I don't want that.
There's Judicator Thomas.
Is that his name, Thomas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's canon, man.
Many of us are by
So we need this creature right here in order to do the partake skip. There is a bit of RNG here. Sometimes he likes to derp out and jump off the edge there. So okay, he didn't do it, which is good. So Colt is going to drag him over here. You'll see Colt occasionally wave his shield around, and that just triggers the AI of the enemy to chase him. And we're going to try to get him in a specific position where he'll pick up Colt and he'll literally devour his face. I know. And then he'll drop him down, and Colt will fall through the texture. It'll take him to the next area.
I shall partake.
And here we go.
And part
Nice job.
taked.
First try
Yeah.
partake.
That's it.
All right.
First try partake.
Partaked. Partook.
Ben partooketh.
We have partooketh, for sure. So I'm going to spawn in and head up an elevator and open a gate here that normally you have to spend, I don't even know how long running through the DLC in order to get to it.
I would say it skips about 4 minutes, maybe like 4.
Yeah, and I mean, it saves you from having to fight Madeir on the bridge. That's the next boss we're heading towards. You'd think Fiona, she might actually have some personal history with Madeir being that big purple dragon, you know.
No, that's true.
I wonder what happened. Anyway.
I don't know. She seems pretty mad right now.
So yeah, with the Dragon Madeir that we're talking about, there's actually a prelude to the fight where you're on the bridge and Madeir is literally just breathing flames down, and you have to knock Madeir off the bridge in order to fight Madeir in the actual arena. But because of that skip here, we would normally fight Madeir here, which can take a lot of time, you know, for the prelude. But we did the skip, so Madeir's not here, and we can also just skip to this area now too and get to the actual fight a lot faster.
So I'm going to do another spook quit out right here.
Should have made like a custom Fiona scream dialogue. For
Oh,
this
that would have
mod.
been sweet. Just hire Cameron Diaz, right? So yeah, we've got another bug up here. I'm going to be clipping through the floor again, and I happen to be in a good spot to make a nice big drop down to the boss arena.
So yeah, partake number 2. We'll be using another creature to get through the ground here.
Oh, he did that in a weird spot. That ain't gonna work.
These bugs can be pretty finicky with their attacks.
Buggy even.
You could say so.
So yeah, this parry baits out the one-handed jump attack that he's doing, and then you want to parry it, and then we're walking over here. I'm getting my foot in a specific spot on that stair. It should drop me through. Yeah.
And that's it.
R took it.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, every time he did a partake, he had such a low amount of health. So he has to level his vigor to a certain spot, or the skip will not work. You will die. And now he skipped through the ground again, and we can actually fight Midir now, the next boss for the DLC 2.
I would say this is probably the most cinematic boss in all of Dark Souls. Just fighting a massive dragon.
And now he has these gold pine bundles equipped. They're a bit different than the gold pine resins. You can activate them a lot quicker than you can the resins, and they do a bit more damage. They don't last as long, but it's okay because we have plenty stacked, and like I said, the more damage output for Midir.
So I'm trying to avoid this fire and run in for 3 hits here if I can. Missed the third.
This is also another boss that a lot of people struggle on. They, say it's one of the harder bosses, but he's already going to phase 2. He does have a point when he reaches about, I want to say, maybe 30% health that he does a stagger that you'll see really soon.
I
And
bet
then
it's the next hit.
I think
it's
so.
really close. Boom.
Yep.
And after the stagger, you can hit him a few times and then riposte, and the fight should be over.
As long as you get your health bar below the R in Midir at the health, he's going to die right there.
So the next boss we're coming up on is kind of a unique one. FromSoft designed it to be a online PvP fight, so other players could get summoned in to be the boss in this area. There is a boss that they programmed that's supposed to be like an actual PvP fight. For such a long time, it was like the bane of our existence with speedrunning. But I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 months ago, Distortion discovered a combo that allows us to do a lot more damage with a single use of our stamina bar, really making light of the situation. So
we've seen a lot of runs, speed runs dire to this boss, and it's really unfortunate because this is a very late game boss, but sometimes given the RNG that Half-Life gives you, there's really not much you can do. So you can either die or you can just lose so much time here. So it's really nice that the strats that Distortion 2 and others have incorporated to help make this fight a bit easier.
It's nice because this boss can roll and has the same amount of iframes as any player would. So if he decides to spam his roll, it's just going to make the fight that much longer. But that combo puts him in such a massive stun lock.
also, that's the only boss who you can't skip his dialogue. I don't know why they think he's special, but it really peeves me that I can't skip his dialogue.
So go ahead, Colt.
Oh yeah, this is the Painted Guardian. It's just a helper for the boss. Took care of her.
Those guys can do a lot of damage too, basically as much as the boss himself.
So we're going into phase 2. There's another Painted Guardian spawning right now. We might be in luck. Looks like not. Yeah, the Painted Guardian just healed Half-Light, and I'm waiting for, here's my opportunity. There's that Painted Guardian coming in.
So as you can see, the damage output you just received just like that, it can be really scary, but
GG.
he overcame it.
The best thing that can really happen there is if Half-Life pulls out his bow and then goes against a wall. The fight can go from the lengths you saw there to about 12 seconds.
And we're heading to the final boss of DLC 2, which is Gale.
Slave Knight.
Slave Knight Gale. He's usually a fan favorite. A really cool looking boss. He's really, really powerful.
So that reminds me, Big John, how are we doing on the incentive for that?
You know, we're $701 short.
Ooh. Well, you know what? The
We're gonna do it
plan
anyway.
is to do it after the run is over. So if we get that, I'll be coming back to fist fight this guy.
I'm saying, hey, you all chat. Everybody, if everyone gave $5, then everyone would give $5. So let's get it done.
Do you guys want to see a fist-only Gale fight?
There we go. This is another fight with 3 phases. We're going to see Colt do some pretty neat stuff with staggers here. Every single time you hit Gale, it builds up towards the stagger amount, and every 5th hit will stagger him. Right there you saw, he knew he didn't have to iframe that attack with a roll. He could just keep attacking.
Phase 1, Gale is pretty sporadic here. He has some really weird movements that you can see. He's kind of just like jumping around the whole arena. So it's really hard to learn his moveset here, but and he hits very hard. But Colt is doing a really good job of dodging everything and dealing a lot of damage here.
Whew. That was scary.
Oh, come on. One more hit. I was preemptively using my resin to go into phase 2, so I didn't have to at the beginning.
This fight is pretty epic, man.
I would say probably the best OSD.
So yeah, there are a lot of strafing opportunities in the fight. Every time you don't have to roll, you get more stamina. When he pulls out his crossbow, you can just run straight towards him. The arrows don't actually hit you. And then he'll stagger if he hits you with his crossbow out.
At this
A lot
point,
of people
Gale
run away when he's doing that. I just kind of come in with the lightning.
That's terrifying. That lightning does a lot of damage too if you stay in it. The phase 3 portion of this fight basically goes the same way that phase 2 goes, except Gale remembers he has wings.
Nice job.
So this is actually a skip that I'm doing right here. As soon as I'm back in Firelink, when I touch the shrine, it will teleport me to Kiln of the First Flame. And as soon as the screen goes black, I use a Homeward Bone and warp to Bonfire last rested at, and it actually skips to me being here. So there's an area that I just skipped by using a Homeward Bone during that screen. This is technically the final boss of the game, so we're going to be fighting him a little earlier. At one point, the community decided that, well, we knew we could finish runs faster by fighting him earlier or at a different spot rather than saving him for the end. So it's pretty interesting how the route has evolved.
This is a pretty cool boss too. He has 4 different weapons he can use during his first phase. We're most likely not going to see any of those other weapons because Colt's going to kill him before he can change.
Oh,
So he did switch to sorcery there. Now we're getting ready for phase 2.
yeah, there's a specific frame to roll that AoE. That attack knocks you up in the air and can do a lot of damage.
So Colt opted to take the damage there. He just iframed the flame attack, which allowed the fight to be a lot faster.
It's a good fight.
Yeah, it was a very clean cinder.
So we're linking the first flame here, making sure not to go into New Game Plus, and continuing on with the final few bosses of the run.
Thought I'd give a little update here. Get your gloves ready, because Boxing Gale has been met.
Let's
Way met.
So now we're back to the DLC 1, where we fought Sister Frida. Because we did the skip, we did leave a boss behind. This is Champion Gravetender, so he's another boss, another NPC type boss that we'll fight, kind of like Half-Life was, but this guy has a pack of wolves with him, so it's a pretty interesting fight.
Definitely the harder part of this fight is killing the Gravetender himself and not his massive intimidating wolf.
One of the things about this guy's weapon is he will attack and defend simultaneously. Also, every third hit, if I land 2 hits, I'm trying to wait to start the input for the third hit to potentially roll catch. That's one of the PvP strats a lot of people use in the game.
So as you heard that
It's kind of annoying.
big a woo, there's a big boy coming.
Something else coming, yeah.
And so it was a good thing that Colt defeated him before the wolf gets there. The wolf usually comes when Gravetender gets about to 50% health, and if you don't kill him fast enough, you have to fight both at the same time. So it's really a lot better to take out Gravetender if you can as fast as possible.
It gets very difficult. Gravetender goes from being a melee boss until he starts casting ranged sorceries at you as well.
And that's Gravetender.
And now we're heading to Nameless King himself. People refer to this boss as probably one of the more challenging ones in the game. It's got 2 phases. His second one is a lot of delayed attacks and a lot of very long combos that you have to learn before you can really figure out how to take him down.
He is very, very powerful, and he can stun lock you into consecutive hits, which can kill you quite easily.
There is a power in trading blows with the Nameless King, though, in his phase 2. He does a lot of attacks where, like, he'll do 1 attack, you do 1 attack, back and forth. But I may be taking a few hits intentionally just to help the fight go faster. Stage 1, though, you just got to kill his chicken.
Yeah, it's a chicken, right?
Yeah.
It's a duck.
There are 2 openers he can give you.
He actually gave me the better opener, and then I missed the opportunity to get the stagger off of it. But that's all good. So that's phase 1. Now it's just him for phase 2.
This is a really cool boss aesthetic looking wise. I mean, you're on clouds. This dude's waving a giant electrical, whatever that thing is around, and it's epic hair. So it's a really cool fight.
Here we go, phase 2 transition.
Nice.
And that is it.
So I have to make sure to wait until a bell goes off before I warp back. A lot of people have lost speedruns because they'll use a homeward bone too soon, and the Air of Fire Destroyed sign won't pop up on their screen. Anyway, we are coming up on the final boss of the run, the Old Demon King. It's quite the name.
He's a spicy one.
He is. So we're back in the catacombs. This is, I lit this bonfire after I had killed Bracelet's Bling guy, High Lord Wolner. There's a giant ballista that's going to be shooting some arrows at me.
Luckily, Colt just knows the timing, so he doesn't even have to look.
We also have a huge worm thing. Fiona, get up.
Now, Old Demon King is usually a early to mid game boss, so the fact that we're coming here this late, he should go down really quickly.
It may take 13 hits, maybe.
I don't know, we'll see.
Well, his health bar appeared and he's at half health, so.
Oh,
GG.
one more. There we go.
And that's it.
12.
All right. I'm going to call the time in 3, 2, 1, time.
Nice job, man.
Was it? Wait. Was that all the bosses?
That's
I really
all.
hope that was all the
I think
bosses
so.
because my in-game timer says 1:28:42.
I can't.
That should be everybody.
Yeah, I
right?
can't.
Okay,
think
well that's the
anyone else.
fastest I've ever done that. So
Let's go.
there's that. I'm just yeah. All right, sweet. Okay, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna load up a file and we are gonna fist fight Slave Knight Gale.
Can we take bets on this fight? Is that a thing?
What do you start it at?
I don't know.
Wait, what are we betting on? Whether I kill him or not? Or
How many times he hits you? How many times you hit him?
Sure.
all right.
So there's not many strats to this fight, just dodge and punch, pretty much.
There are a few speedrun strats I'm going to be using. So I had a save file specifically for this. I wanted to allocate my stats a little differently to further optimize how I'm fighting him. So I've got my strength at 40 and my dexterity up to 40. Your fists actually have a D-ranked scaling with those two stats. And then it turns out you can use the tumble buff. So I'm going to put this rotten pine resin on my fist here. It's now poisonous.
Poison fist, I like
Got
it.
stinky hands.
Probably from scratching the butt too much.
Probably.
We're doing, what, 84 damage per
damage
hit?
a hit.
Slightly
All right.
less than the Sellsword Twin Blades, but we're doing good. We're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since he did infuse the poison on his fist, he will be inflicting poison on Gale. As you can see now, his health is slowly ticking away, so,
Is it ticking now?
yep.
All right. So yeah, now I'm gonna do something else. Uh-oh. I'm just gonna take that damage so I can get lightning on my fist. We'll just heal up. So the poison's still ticking. And now you can hear that I'm doing the lightning damage when I hit him. So a bit more damage per hit.
That was a very well-timed stagger, too.
Yeah, right.
That's a pretty devastating attack that you just saw Gale pull off, where he does a scream, he does a 5-hit combo, and then jumps into the air. But as long as you can run under it, then everything should go fine. Now, rumor has it Gale is actually Lord Farquaad under that hood. Just him in his elderly days.
The poison actually just sent him into phase 2. We're gonna watch the cutscene here. So he has, what was it? He consumed the blood of the Dark Soul, right? Final boss of the series.
I don't know if you guys even noticed, because he kind of ran through this game pretty fast, but this guy is actually the guy who got him to DLC 1. He was on his knees, and he was pretty skinny looking, but when you find him in DLC 2, he kind of gets
Thick.
yeah. So
Round 2's gonna get intense.
yeah, you guys get to see more of Gale's attacks now because he's Colt is using fist. Gale has a lot of attack in phase 2 and 3, where actually his cape can even do damage to you if you're not careful. But Colt will strafe most of his attacks regardless.
All right. So we're going to reuse our resin here. And get that poison going again.
You notice Colt has budding green blossoms on his item quick bar. Those allow your stamina to come back much, much quicker.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for a good spot to use it here.
It's basically like the grass crest shield that we had earlier in the run. It just, you know, gives them faster stamina regeneration.
Gonna heal up. Of course.
That crossbow does an extreme amount of damage too. Like it's no joke.
So before I finish up, I did want to give a couple shout outs to some people in the Souls community. Of course, Speed Souls. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all the resources that you've put together. Some of the people who have been around forever. Dark, of course. I mean, I know most of the guys for Dark Souls 3 with speedrunning. If I start naming names, I'm gonna miss tons of them. But huge shout out to I don't even know what to call him. A babe, a dude, Nems38. One of the best runners, the best runner of this game. I think he has all of the records at the moment across the board. It's insane. Check him out. He's currently running Bloodborne right now. He's moved on to other territory. But yeah, definitely wanted to shout him out.
So now we've entered phase 3 of the fight.
Looks like the poison's worn off too.
Phase 3 is pretty similar to phase 2, but now Gale gets a few more attacks, and now he gets also the lightning effects, which can damage you if you get hit by them.
A lot of people think that the lightning is going to be random, but the lightning is actually only going to spawn in on where you saw those skulls land after they explode out of Gale's body.
I played this game for a year and I only figured that out like a month ago.
So yeah, these things right here, when they hit the ground, that's where all the lightning will spawn. You can see the little blue
poisoned,
things.
is he?
Oh, he's not.
Scratch that booty again.
Should take effect any second here. There it goes. Man, he really likes that move today, doesn't he?
Yeah. Big thing I like about phase 3 Gale is that he takes he takes a lot of combos from phase 2 and then just adds 2 to 3 more moves on top of it. So if you've already known, like if let's say you're already getting pretty good at fighting phase 2, phase 3 is going to catch you off guard a lot.
I really feel bad. I just realized that the save file had the music turned down. I was like, why is it so quiet? Something's missing. Now it's epic. Now we can finish him off.
Epic for the last 20 seconds.
Right? Oh, we'll get there. Hang on, I gotta do a few other things here.
There
Oh,
we
the poison
go.
killed
The poison.
Nice job.
All right.
GG, man. Great fight.
Thanks. Thanks for having me, everybody. Yeah, just shout outs again to my guys on the couch, Jesse, best friend, K Witty. This guy has beat Dark Souls with pretty much every weapon in the game. Are you max level yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's max level. Who does that? K Witty does that. And then Joe DD, Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 challenge runner, getting into Dark Souls 3 speedrunning right now. Check them out, guys. Thanks again for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here, man.
Yeah.
Another fantastic run there. Dark Souls 3 with the bonus incentive being met as well. You'll never see me playing that game, I tell you that. And of course, a lot of that was due to a lot of generous donations that came in. Jaden with $100 that said fight, 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 fight. Kiwi 176, which was a big chunk of that, $500 that said fist fight. Zaz $10, fist fight. Suzushiro $5, punch, 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 punch. A lot of violence in these donation comments here. Now, of course, coming up next, we've got Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction. Mr. Llama going to be running that one. Sorcerer's 80% normal. So stay tuned for that coming up as we kind of get to the kind of later night hours here. We had Dr. Don Von Doom with $25 says, you're playing Dark Souls wrong. You're supposed to die. Xavier with $25 says, playing video games for charity is a win for all. Great games, great times, and resources to those who need it. Thank you for that, Xavier. We had Tapeti with $10 says, let's see some Punch-Out Dark Souls Edition. You sure got it. $5 anonymously donated says, great run, COLTrane45. Here's my 5. We got Ryan with $10 says, howdy, name is Ryan. Never been able to catch a GDQ live before, so this is a first for me. Thought I'd donate to celebrate the occasion. Oh, by the way, save the animals. After all, who doesn't want a fluffy animal to cuddle with on a cold winter night? All right, you all. So coming up next, we have an interview going on right now. So enjoy this, shall we?
Thank you so much for that, Big John. Guys, welcome back to Games Done Quick Express. My name is Sent, and apparently the Ghost of Rom Scout is next to me. Hello, Ghost of Rom Scout. All right, he's not feeling very talkative today. That's fine. We can go ahead and ignore him. Guys, out there in the audience, can we get one more round of applause for COLTrane and that amazing Diablo 3 run? That was Diablo 3. We're changing genres right there. Dark Souls 3 run. That was insane. You know, I'd heard they were going in a different direction for Shrek 5, but I really didn't expect that. Little bit unexpected. Anyway, guys, I wanted to give you guys a quick rundown on a bunch of awesome prizes that are just about to end. If you guys are interested in these next couple of prizes, you're going to need to get your donations in before the start of Diablo 2. And then I wanted to talk about some prizes that'll be open as soon as that Diablo 2 run starts. So, I mean, hey, it's a great time to get your donations in. So from our friends over at AMD Gaming, we have an AMD Ryzen 7 2700, super awesome CPU, great thing. You can check out the specs of it over on the tracker if you're curious about more of the technical side. Frankly, I don't understand computers, I just play with them. That's what I do. From our friends over at Fangamer and Bandai Namco, we have this beautiful Dark Souls 3 Onion Knight shirt that I managed to hold up right side up for once. So, I mean, hey, 1 out of 3 times is not bad. Super great shirt, super comfortable. Always love the shirts Fangamer produces, and it's available in your choice of size. $10 minimum donation. Again, you need to get that donation in before the start of Diablo 2 if you want it to be counted. From our good friend Kari Fry, we have the beautiful Banquet of the Wild book. Huge fan of this. It contains all of her awesome artwork and writing about all of the food and characters in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is just such a fun and expansive game. And full of so many things, and people are discovering new glitches in it every day. I'm still shocked. A couple of days ago, they figured out how to like hyper accelerate by shield bouncing off the heads of enemies. It's a crazy game. I love it so much. The book is great. $10 minimum donation. Make sure to get in on that. From our friends over at One Up Yourself, we have a great Mario Kart poster. It's $5 minimum donation. Super cool mashup poster. You can see a picture of it on the tracker. Unfortunately, don't have anyone here with me to help unroll it, and it didn't go so well the last time I tried to do it by myself, so we're just going to skip over that for the moment. From our friends over at Bandai Namco and Fangamer, we have a beautiful little Dark Souls bonfire pin, perfect to put on your lapel as you're taking a rest after, maybe, I don't know, fist fighting a god demon knight monster. Personally, not something I plan on doing, but hey, if you're interested in that, $5 donation, I'm sure it'll help you. From our good friend Joseph, we have a Super Nintendo Classic. This is not a Super Nintendo Classic. This is a very Japanese Super Nintendo Classic, and we'll get to in a minute. This is a Super Nintendo Classic. Absolutely great console. As you can see, it's upside down. That is a feature. You can put the box upside down. Very handy. Personally, I like this configuration of it, as it is taller, and that means it is more important, as denoted by the Dark Souls series. Seriously, think about it. All the tall Dark Souls bosses, the most important Dark Souls bosses. I'm just saying. $15 minimum donation, and again, you got to get that donation in now before the start of Diablo 2. From our good friend 6955, we have this beautiful Super Time Force Ultra vinyl. Guys, vinyl is back, like it or not. It's a super cool medium. This game has a great soundtrack, and it is all here on this wonderful vinyl disc. $10 minimum donation, and again, something you're going to need to get your donations in for immediately if you are interested in possibly winning it. From our friends over at Something Artistic, we have these beautiful portal decals. You got an entrance and an exit, and at some point, the guy seems to have flipped upside down. That's just the power of portals, man. You never know what's going to happen. All kinds of different orientations that can happen. I don't know, something like this, whatever. Don't put them inside each other, though. That causes crazy stuff, I hear. Also from our friends over at Something Artistic, we have these beautiful Zelda decals. Like I mentioned before, we have all of the important Zelda logos throughout the series. We have the Hylian crest. Very important, very central to every Zelda game. We have the King of Red Lions, the most important boat in the Legend of Zelda series. Not a lot of competition there, but I mean, still, he's got to have some kind of title. Let him have it. We have Fierce Deity Link, the tallest Link, and therefore the most important Link. We've been over this. It's true in Dark Souls. It's true in The Legend of Zelda. Do they exist in the same universe? I don't know. You tell me. And of course, last but not least, we have the King of Red Lions, because, I mean, frankly, we needed an HD remix of this game. It was the only way we were ever going to appreciate it. Both of those sets of decals are a $10 minimum donation, and again, you're going to need to get those donations in ASAP if you are interested in winning any of them. Now, moving on real quick to some prizes that'll be available as soon as we start that Diablo 2 run, and it'll be running until a little bit later this morning when we do a Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer, which I'm super excited for. That's going to be a great run. We have the Earthbound Handbook from our friends over at Fangamer. It's got all the details you need about Earthbound, the locations, and all the characters within it. Super cool, super informative. It is a $15 minimum donation, so make sure to get those donations in. And also from our friends over at Fangamer and the Legends of Localization team, we have Legends of Localization Volume 2 Earthbound, along with the little Volume 2 Passport, which contains a little bit of a guide to Japanese and some cultural stuff that'll help you understand the contents of this book. This is a super cool book written by Clyde Amato Mandolin, and it's all about like the localization of Earthbound 2 and all the trouble it went through, everything they had to change, some of the stuff they kind of forgot and then changed in later versions and went back. It's a super interesting read. I actually had the opportunity to read it on the plane ride to SGDQ this year, and it's just, there's so much information in here to go over. Super cool book. Again, $15 donation between now and the end of the Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer. So hey, get those donations in. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, of course, we have this beautiful Super Famicom here. Super Famicom Classic, guys, it's kind of like the Super Nintendo Classic, but it's a little more Japanese, and you know what? That's okay. It comes with Super Famicom-styled controllers and a whole host of 21 different games, though it still does contain the only official release of Star Fox 2. Comes to us by way of Zeppelin 02 and Wellosaur. Huge shout outs to them for finding one. I actually didn't even know there was a Super Famicom Classic. I'd only ever heard of the SNES Classic until they brought it up. It's got a couple of different games here. I know it has Goemon's Great Adventure, which I don't believe the original one had, as well as Street Fighter II: The New Challengers, which I think also the original Super Famicom is missing. So super cool little thing. It again is a $15 minimum donation from now until the end of the Super Metroid: A Link to the Past combo randomizer. We got a bunch of really awesome Perlers here from our friend Lee C. We have this beautiful Ampharos Perler. I mean, just look at it. This is one of my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon. Mareep is, there's so many puns in that Pokemon line. I love it. Too many to go over at the moment, but super cool Perler, super cool Pokemon. We also have this beautiful Skarmory Perler, which I'm trying to be very careful with here. Skarmory, honestly, not a Pokemon I like, but this Perler, definitely a Perler I like. Really well made. Huge shout outs to Lee. Again, we talked about this a little earlier in the marathon, but there are two kind of styles to Perler making. Lee goes for more of a transparent Perler, and if you get the light to shine on this thing just right, you'll see that it's basically see-through, almost kind of like a mesh material, even though it's melded beads together. And that is not easy. That takes a lot of finesse to actually achieve. And we also have, from Lisi again, this beautiful Zapdos Perler. I love this Perler, love Zapdos. Probably my favorite of the legendary birds. Super cool Pokemon. So the Zapdos and the Ampharos are going to be $10 minimum donations, and the Skarmory over here is going to be a $15. Make sure to get those donations in. Again, that's from now until the end of the Super Metroid combo randomizer. Last but not least, guys, let's talk about this cute little Rowlet here that I'm holding upside down, as is tradition. Let's flip it around real quick. This is just a beautiful little crocheted amigurumi Rowlet. He's got a little flower crown, as you do. It's a shiny variation of the Rowlet, as you can tell by the teal coloring. And it's super cool. It's a little hard to see at this distance, but this entire thing is actually crocheted together. This isn't like built around something. This is just a ball of crocheted yarn. And it is super soft. It is super wonderful. I am so glad we have it. And it is a $20 minimum donation, I believe, from now until the end of the Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer. So real quick, guys, before we go, I just want to give you all a quick reminder that your donations, you know, they're going to all the awesome incentives we have. They're getting you entered in all the awesome prizes we have, like our grand prize, which is a super amazing gaming PC worth about $1,200–$1,300, the specs of which you can check out over on the tracker. But while you head over to GamesDoneQuick.com to check out the tracker, you should also go ahead and check out the TwitchCon Charity Plaza, because all of your donations at this event are going to the TwitchCon Charity Plaza, which is full of 10 different charities, all with amazing causes. We have links to each of their pages, as well as short little blurbs about each of them to get you involved with them. Super happy to be able to work with them this year, and yeah, they're all great causes, and I'm super excited for it. So, real quick, I think that's going to be it for the end of me. I hope it's not the end of me. That's a little ominous. But I think we're going to throw it right back up to the front. Remember to head over to GamesDoneQuick.com, check out the tracker. It's got all the information you need about upcoming runs, bid wars, prizes, incentives, and of course the charities that this event is proud to support. Big John, if you want to take it back, all you, man.
Here are two cons, sir. All right, y'all, so don't forget, get those donations in. By the way, I didn't have a chance to mention it. We did break over $60,000 during that last run there. So that's like over $13,000 in the past like 4 or 5 hours. So that's really, really good. Again, don't forget to donate to those incentives, but I will have a replacement because I got to go, so I won't pass out on the stream. Can't have that. It's TOS violation. So we got Extra Toppings going to step in for me. I will see you all tomorrow for the best part of the GDQ, the Mario block. Yeah, fight me. All right? So make sure you don't miss that out, and I will see you all tomorrow. But, of course, don't forget, Diablo 2 coming up next. All right?